The first question people want to know is the TASCAM DR-40XP, does it have cleaner preamps than the predecessor, the previous version? We will answer that question in just a moment. First of all, thank you to TASCAM for sending this recorder over to me so that I can make this review. I'll send it back to them when we're done here. They haven't told me what to say. They haven't paid me any money. So all the opinions here are my own. Secondly, this video is sponsored by Learn Light and Sound. We have courses on how to make better lighting and sound for your videos, link down below. And let's start off with some audio samples recorded directly to the TASCAM DR-40XP. It was easier to know it than to explain why I know it. If you were asked to prove that 2 and 2 made 4, you might find some difficulty, and yet you are quite sure of the fact. It was easier to know it than to explain why I know it. If you were asked to prove that 2 and 2 made 4, you might find some difficulty, and yet you're quite sure of the fact. Okay, the rest of this episode is recorded with the TASCAM DR-40XP and the JZ Microphones V11 condenser microphone plugged into the XLR input on the DR-40XP. All right, back to that self-noise question. Is this cleaner than the previous generation, the DR-40X? This is a recorder line that's been in production for decades. And this is the XP version, the newest version. The spec says that the self-noise is minus 126 dBu. Presumably that's A-weighted. That's normally how you measure equivalent input noise, or EIN. I don't have all the measurement equipment to confirm that exactly, but I do have this dummy XLR adapter with a 150 ohm transistor across pins 2 and 3. Stick with me if you don't understand what I'm talking about. What this does is it simulates the load of most dynamic microphones, but without adding the signal or the noise from the microphone. So it's a great way to measure the self-noise produced just by the preamplifier itself and the converters. So without any A-weighting or EQ of any sort, when I set the preamp to low gain and an input level of 50, presumably this is adding some amount of post-conversion gain and lifting the noise floor. And incidentally, this is the gain setting I use to record with a condenser boom microphone, the Sennheiser MKH50. We measured the self-noise floor at minus 85 dB RMS max. Now, I use RMS max because that's closer to how our ears hear versus peak levels. What does this mean? It means it's good. It's pretty clean. You're not going to hear a bunch of noise from the preamplifier. So to answer the question from the start, is this cleaner? It does appear to be substantially cleaner in the XP version. So if you're using a clean condenser microphone, a quality condenser microphone, this recorder is going to be good enough for 99.9% of use cases and 99.9% of people out there. That's what I'm saying with this. Now, what about microphones like the Shure SM7B, a dynamic microphone that needs a ton of gain? Well, you heard a sample earlier on. In this case, you have to turn the gain way up. In the DR-40XP, you set the gain to high in the record mode settings. And to get a decent level on the SM7B, I set the input level to 50 out of 100. When we do the same sample recording with the resistor across pins 2 and 3, we get an RMS max level of minus 78 dB. That's also great. It's mostly only puppies that will be able to hear that noise floor, so most humans aren't going to be able to hear it. So I think we're in a really good spot. Can you use a Shure SM7B with the DR-40XP? And my answer is yes, absolutely you can. I think at this point in history, we are spoiled. Just like with modern cameras, if any of you follow Gerald Undone, he's basically said, hey, it seems like the problem of quality cameras at, $5,000 and lower price points are actually solved. Like they're all pretty good at this point. I'm feeling like recorders are getting to that point too. And the Tascam DR-40XP is really quite good. It's certainly much better than we were at 10 years ago. But here's a really important thing that I want you to know about the DR-40XP, and this will be some people will be concerned about this. With preamp performance like this, you really don't need to be worried about the preamp. You need to be worried about your microphone, and you need to be worried about the places, the environments in which you record, and the noise in those environments, the ambient noise in those environments. Microphones generally add more self-noise to your overall recording at this point than recorders do. So it's the microphones you need to consider. So dynamic range and self-noise are a couple of the specs that you might want to watch. Now, here is my unsolicited advice for you today. Actually, it's not unsolicited. It's solicited because you chose to watch this video, so I'm going to give it to you. You can probably stop obsessing over the self-noise of preamps when you get to this level of recorder. decent quality recorder, at least for spoken word recordings in most locations. Again, ambient noise is going to be the thing that you're managing, not the self-noise of these preamps or most decent microphones, condenser microphones priced at $250 and higher. What about the built-in mics? What's the self-noise like there? Well, I don't have a way to measure that in the same way. I can't remove the mic and plug something into a socket there because it's all integrated. But you heard a sample earlier. To me, it sounds perfectly acceptable for dialogue recordings. Another thing you need to know, the DR-40XP is part of Tascam's slightly more budget-oriented field recorders. So for the 32-bit float purists out there, this thing only has one analog to digital converter. That's right, one analog to digital converter, and it's a 32-bit float recorder. So you might be saying and freaking out and saying, oh, how insane this is. This can't be 32-bit float. You need to have multiple converters. Consider this. This recorder has a dynamic range of 112 decibels on its XLR inputs and a max input level of plus 7 dBu. Compare that to the Zoom F8N Pro, a much more expensive recorder. Some people would consider this a professional, certainly at least a prosumer recorder. It has a dynamic range of 113 dB, only 1 dB more, and a max input level of plus 4 dBu. That's actually 1 dB, or that's actually 3 dB less than the Tascam DR-40XP. So that means that the DR-40XP can actually handle higher input levels, louder sound recordings, or microphones that are more sensitive than the Zoom F8N Pro. So here's a lesson to consider. Does that make the DR-40XP better than the Zoom F8N Pro? Not really. We have a tendency, all of us, you, me, most of us at least, including me, to fall into the trap of becoming a spec-hound. And what I mean by that is trusting specs, and better numbers on specs mean it's a better device automatically. And specs are useful tools, but they don't tell the whole story. And they don't fully describe the experience and the results that you'll get with your particular recorder. So don't freak out knowing that there's only a single analog to digital converter in this 32-bit float recorder in the Tascam DR-40XP. In practical use, this is going to be fine for most people. And it looks to me like the quality of preamps and converters is getting to a point where even these budget recorders are good enough for most people recording, certainly spoken word audio for video. So everyone take a deep breath. No need for this recorder is better than that recorder that you use kind of wars. There's just no reason to do that. Don't waste your energy doing that. Just learn to make the best with the equipment that you have. Learn your equipment, and you can get great results from most of the products out there. Tascam's probably going to hate to hear this. I'm saying that this is a great recorder, but also if you have another recorder, just learn how to use it well, and you can probably get really, really great recordings with it. If you want a DR-40XP and that's what you can afford, and it kind of fits your use cases, what you're going to be recording with it, you want the built-in microphones, plus you want 2 XLR inputs, great, go for it. I think it'd be a great little recorder for you. If you fancy yourself as having more expensive taste in the budget that allows it, then maybe a Zoom F8N Pro or a Tascam FR-AV4 or a Sound Devices MixPre 3 or MixPre 6 or a MixPre 10 is right for you. That's fine. It's all okay. It's all good. Don't judge your neighbor based on the audio recorder they use. Get out there and make some great sound. We'll talk to you again soon.